Okay. That song is so appropriate. We need God. And it's my prayer as I stand up here today that God would be with us, that He would be with us in His power and His strength, and that He would be our source of hope, that we do not need to fear because He is God and we recognize Him as God. And as I think about times of where I'm feeling anxious and get knots in my stomach and everything like that, it's just, when it comes to cars, I am just a complete loser. In college, I found friends. I could find people that would help me when things would go wrong. You know, they would sit down and they would explain, well, this is what you do. They showed me how to use a timing light. They do all these things, and I could get by. But, you know, it's just early in life, I just had old cars that kind of were on their last legs, and I didn't know. I didn't do the stuff I was supposed to do. I didn't do tune-ups. I didn't do oil changes. I didn't keep track of cars the way I was supposed to. I just wanted to get in the car, turn the key, and go. That's what a car is supposed to do, right? It's supposed to take you places. And so, inevitably, with these old cars on their last legs that are not well maintained, they're going to do what they do. And they start to cough, or they make noise, or they don't go, or they do all these things that I didn't understand. And so with those situations, here I am, needing to be places, and I'm taking my car into mechanics. And I'm not understanding. And I'm watching that mechanic, and they pop the hood, and my stomach is just turning into knots. Because I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what they're going to see. Are they going to be able to fix my car? Are they going to tell me what it is that's wrong? Are they going to know? I don't know. Will they know? How much is this going to cost me? I mean, I don't have a lot of money. I wasn't counting on this. What am I supposed to do? They're going to tell me, oh, it's $300. It's like, $300? Oh, thanks a lot. What am I supposed to do? What are they going to say? What does this mean for me? How am I going to get the money? How long are they going to keep the car? I mean, I'm going to have this thing tomorrow. Are they going to be able to fix it today? All of this is going on in my head, and I start to think, can I trust this mechanic? Is he going to take advantage of me? Does he know I'm a loser? Is he going to lie to me? Is he going to tell me that there's stuff that's wrong with the car and it's really not wrong with the car because, oh, we got a wild one here? And this is just going on and on and on. And this is the way it works for me with these cars. When I look at the Bible, I see stories in the Bible that in my imagination, they seem to me to be stories of people with knots in their stomach. And the story that I'm going to tell you today, it's from Exodus chapter 32. It's the story that we know as the golden calf. And so just to give you some background so that you know this story, what it is it's about the people of Israel. The people of Israel have been living in Egypt. They've been living in Egypt for 400 years. And while they're in Egypt, they have grown, and they have grown strong, and they have become a nation. And during these 400 years, they've been living in Egyptian culture. They've been exposed to the Egyptian gods, the Egyptian way of thinking. And while they're in Israel, they have no power. They're completely helpless. They've been slaves. The pharaohs of Egypt have treated this nation as slaves, and they have had to do backbreaking, very difficult work day in and day out as slaves, building cities for Pharaoh where he's going to be storing all of his wealth. And they are not sharing this at all, and there are taskmasters who are driving them every day to work and work and work. There's another man too. It's Moses. God has seen his people. He has seen Israel, and he's heard their cries as they work through this very difficult life of slavery in Egypt. And he's called a man. He's called Moses. And he has called Moses to go to the people and to tell them that God has been listening to them, and he's going to rescue them from their afflictions. And Moses goes with his brother Aaron. Moses is not a good public speaker. Moses is afraid to stand up in front of Pharaoh and have to speak, so he has Aaron with him, who does the speaking for him. God speaks to Moses. Moses tells Aaron then what to say. And they confront Pharaoh. And God works great miracles through Moses in front of Pharaoh, showing Pharaoh that God is God, showing Pharaoh that God has the power. And he judges Egypt. And through this judgment, Pharaoh relents and he lets the people go. He lets the slaves go. And they have gone into the wilderness with Moses leading them. And God has taken them to a place. We think of it as Mount Sinai. It's the mountain of God, and God has revealed his presence to the people. He has revealed his presence in an awesome and powerful way, in which he is this dark, ominous cloud over this mountain, and this cloud is filled with thunder and with fire. And right before our story begins, several weeks before, God has spoken his law. He has given the people his rules, his regulations, his commandments on how they are to live as God's people. And the people are afraid of God. They are afraid of his power and his awesomeness. And they say, Moses, you be the one who speaks for us to God. You be the one who comes back to us and tells us what God wants of us. And immediately before this story, God has called Moses up to the mountain. And so as the people are looking at this, they see this mountain filled with this ominous gray cloud, and Moses has gone up into the mountain. And that's where our story begins. And so what the Bible tells us is that when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mountain, they gathered themselves together to Aaron, and they said to Aaron, "Get up, make us gods who shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who led us up out of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." And Aaron said to the people, he said, "Take off the rings of gold that are in the ears of your wives and your sons and your daughters, and bring those rings to me." So the people took off the rings of gold that they had on their ears, and they brought them to Aaron. And Aaron received the rings from the people's hand. And Aaron fashioned the gold with a graving tool. And Aaron made a golden calf. And the people exclaimed, "This is your God, O Israel, who has brought us up out of the land of Egypt." And when Aaron saw this, he built an altar before the golden calf. And he made a proclamation. And he said, "Tomorrow shall be a feast to the Lord." And early the next day, the people rose and they offered burnt offerings. And they brought peace offerings, and they sat down to eat and to drink, and then they rose up to play. And so that's what our Bible story says. And as we look at this story, and as we teach this story today, we teach it from the perspective of our American culture. We teach it from the perspective of 21st century Americans. And we look at this in the way that our culture looks at things. We look at this in terms of right and wrong. We look at this in terms of obedience and guilt. And so as we go through this story, and we teach ourselves through this, what we do is that we see right away that Moses is gone. He has gone up to the mountains. And the people do not see Moses coming back. They see that he is delayed in coming down from the mountain. And so we say, there's no leadership. And the people gather themselves together to Aaron. And we look at the people and we say, without the leaders, the people are taking charge themselves. The people are taking things into their own hands. And they come to Aaron. And they make demands of Aaron. They say, get up. And we look at the Hebrew. And we see that this is an insistent demand. This is a command. This is not asking for guidance. This is not asking for direction. This is telling Aaron what he is supposed to do. And when we look at the Hebrew words behind what it says when they gathered themselves together, we see that in the Hebrew there's this implication that they aren't just gathering together as we have. They aren't just coming together to talk with Aaron. They are forming a mob. They are forming an angry mob. It's an aggressive mob. And so they are coming to Aaron demanding, commanding, aggressively, insisting, get up. You will do this. And they say, you will make us gods to go before us. And we look at the people and we say, what are they thinking? How can they do this? Just weeks before, they had seen God. They had seen God in all of his power. They had seen God in all of his glory. God had led them out of their slavery. He had delivered them from Egypt. We see this and we shake our heads. How could the people reject God so quickly? How could they say, make us gods? They know who God is. And we see the people being disobedient. And we see the people being guilty. And we look at Aaron. And we see that Aaron is a leader. Aaron was standing there with Moses. Aaron knows God. Aaron knows the voice of God. Aaron knows the power of God. Aaron should be standing up to these people. He should not be going along with these people. And so we look at Aaron and we say there's a failure of leadership. Aaron is guilty as a leader. Aaron is not being an obedient leader. And this is the way that we look at this. And then we see that Aaron then asks them to bring these gold earrings that we have. And if we would read back earlier in the story, earlier in this Exodus, in this journey out of slavery in Egypt, what we would see is that the people of Israel, when they came out of Egypt, they asked the Egyptians to give them gold and silver. And God put it upon the Egyptian people's hearts to get rid of the Israelites, to get rid of this slave nation who was condemning, had this God who was judging them, judging their leader Pharaoh. And they gave their gold and their silver and their clothes. And so we look at these gold rings and we say, these must be part of the gold rings that the Egyptians gave them when the Israelites left Egypt. These are the things that God blessed the people of Israel with, this wealth that he gave the people of Israel with as they left Egypt. And so we say that they are taking God's blessings and they are handing this over to Aaron. And we look at what Aaron is doing with these blessings that God has given these people. And he's fashioning it. He's using a graving tool, which is sort of an odd term to us, a graving tool. We can imagine that he's engraving it, he's molding it. But actually what that word, it ties us back to God's command to these people, the command that he had given them earlier. Just a few weeks earlier, as one of his commands, he said, you shall not make a graven image. And so here the exact word is being used. Aaron is taking a graving tool and he's making an image with this tool, a graven image. And God said, you shall not make a graven image that is based on things of this earth. And we see that what Aaron has done is he is making an image with this graving tool that's in the form of a calf, in the form of a thing on this earth, an animal, a common, everyday animal. And we condemn Aaron because he's being disobedient, because he's guilty. He is not doing what God has commanded him to do. Because that's the way that we look at this from our 21st century perspective. It's about guilt and it's about obedience. And then we look at this graven image that Aaron forms. And we call it a golden calf, and all of our Bibles call it a golden calf. But actually, when we look at the Hebrew word, it isn't a calf in terms of a very young cow, young male cow. What it is, it's actually a young bull. It's an animal that could be up to 3 years old. So this isn't just some small, weak thing. It's a very strong, powerful animal. It's an animal that in its full life, in its full strength. And we see that in the Egyptian culture, they had many gods that were imagined, that had images that were made into idols, in which the bull, in which these strong animals are part of these statues that they had of their gods. It's a symbol of strength. It's a source of strength. And so we look at this and we say, well, what the Egyptians are doing is that they're not relying on God's strength. They're relying on the Egyptian culture strength, the Egyptian idols. And so we condemn the people. They are taking an idol. They are engaging in idol worship. And they are calling this idol their God. And they are saying that this idol somehow brought them out of Egypt. And we shake our heads. How can they say that this idol brought them out of Egypt? They've just handed their earrings over to Aaron and they've watched him make it. Obviously, it's not a god. It's just something he made right there. And we shake our head and we just wonder, how could these people be so disobedient? How could these people be so superstitious? How could these people be so stupid? And then we see that the way that they respond to this idol, they hold a feast. And they bring offerings to this idol. Burnt offerings and peace offerings, sacrifices before this idol, worshiping this idol. And then we see that afterwards they sat down to eat and drink. And when you look at the Hebrew, you see that this isn't about sitting down and eating because you're hungry. This isn't about sitting down and drinking because you're thirsty. This is gluttonous behavior. This is a feast in which they're overeating and they're getting drunk. And they're just having a wild party. And when we see that it says, and they get up to play, again, when we look at the Hebrew, this isn't about they're getting together and they're doing some backyard games. Nobody's pulling out a badminton net. Nobody's getting the jarts. I don't know, you remember the jarts game? Nobody's getting any of those kinds of things out. When we look at play, this is about sexual play. This is about drunkenness and group sex. And we condemn this. They are having a drunken orgy in front of this calf. And we just can't believe what it is we're seeing. How could people do this? 3 weeks ago, just weeks, you saw God in all of his power. He gave you his laws. He told you the way he wanted you to behave. How could you ignore this so easily, so quickly? And when we look at this, we just shake our heads and we think, what am I supposed to learn from this? This has no relevance to my life. This has no relevance to me today. Oh, sure, we may know people who have experienced traumatic things, or at times in their life where they knew God and then suddenly they just turned from Him and they go off and they backslide in these just horrible ways. Or we may know people who just live their lives apart from God and they engage in all kinds of behavior that we would look at and we would say, well, maybe that's kind of like that. But in terms of our everyday lives, in terms of how we sit here and how we serve God and we pray to God and we devote our lives to God, when we tell this story this way, it really doesn't have much meaning to us. And we kind of read this story and we shake our head and we go, wow. And then we flip the page and we go on to the next story. Maybe, just maybe, if we can look at this story a little differently, if we can look at it not as 21st century Americans, but we can look at it as perhaps from the perspective of the ancient Egyptian culture, or perhaps the perspective of the Israelites themselves. Not looking at it in terms of guilt and obedience, in terms of individual misbehavior, in terms of are you right or are you wrong, but in terms of this different cultural perspective. Perhaps if we look at it that way, maybe there might be a little bit more to this story. And so when we look at the ancient Egyptian culture, what we see is that the way that they understood the world is different than the way that we talk about the world. They came at it from a perspective of what we call power and fear. And so what that means is that when they looked at their world, they saw it as a very scary place. They saw it as a place in which they were constantly facing the threat of harm. They were constantly at risk. And they were scared. They were terrified. They didn't want to be harmed. They didn't want their lives to be taken away from them, to be sent in a direction that they had no control over, that they would suffer. And so what they looked for is that they looked for power. Because what they saw, what they were afraid of, is that they saw throughout their world, they saw spiritual forces at work. They saw spiritual forces throughout the physical world, which is why the ancient Egyptians worshipped physical forms. The sun was a god for them. The Nile River was a god for them. That's why they fashioned their idols in the shape of things on this earth, because that's where they saw the spiritual forces, is in the things of this earth. And so they needed power to control these things, these spiritual forces that were threatening to them, these spiritual forces that could harm them, these spiritual forces that caused them to fear. And so they looked for physical objects to try to take control over these spiritual forces. They looked for physical objects like what we would think of as good luck charms. Things, amulets, talismans, things that they could wear around their neck, things that they could wear in their ears, things that they could put on their head. They looked for words that they could say, spells, incantations, what some might today call prayers. And they would look for practices that they could do, rituals, rites, religious observances. And it was through these charms, through these talismans, these amulets, through these spells, through these prayers, through these religious observances and these rites and rituals, they hoped that they could appease these spiritual forces, that they would have the power to direct these spiritual forces, not to harm them, but to protect them. They knew that they didn't have that power in themselves individually. They needed to find people who knew how to use these charms in the right way, how to say these prayers, these spells, the right words to use, how to lead these observances in the correct way so that it would tell these spiritual forces to not harm them, but instead to protect them. And they looked to their own leaders to do this. They looked to Pharaoh. They looked to Pharaoh's own guides. They're magicians. They're religious leaders. Today, when we look at this, there's nothing like this in our culture today. But there are things that can give us a hint of what this must have been like. Because we hear stories about things like voodoo, where they have objects and they sacrifice animals. We hear stories about witch doctors, how they'll say spells. It even comes across in our popular culture. We have books like Harry Potter, who had a magic wand and who knew the spells to say in using the magic wand. We have stories about our superheroes. Superman, Batman, my two favorites, Captain America. These are people who have superhuman powers, and they can use these superhuman powers so that good can conquer evil. And so when we look at this, this gives us a hint as to maybe what the cultural perspective of was for the Egyptians and for the Israeli people as they came out of Egypt. And so when we take this cultural perspective, and now we look again at this story of the golden calf, what we can see in it is that there's very much a story not of right and wrong, not of guilt and obedience, but a story of power, a story of fear, a story of people who went through life with knots in their stomach. When the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mountain, Moses was their superhero. Moses was their magician. Moses was the one who communicated to God. Moses was the one who knew how to use God's power in front of Pharaoh. Moses was the one that through whom God turned the Nile into blood. Moses was the one who, when the Spirit of God came to Egypt and killed the firstborn sons, he passed over the people of Israel, protected the people of Israel. Moses was the one where they saw their power. Moses was the one where they did not have to fear. And Moses was the one who had gone up into this mountain filled with this ominous cloud. This cloud filled with thunder and with fire. And Moses had delayed and not come down. And as for this Moses, the one who led us up out of Egypt, we don't know what's become of him. The people are afraid. The people have no power. So they try to take it amongst themselves. They gather together. They're angry. They're aggressive. They want something done. They go to Aaron. Who else would they go to? Aaron had been next to Moses. Moses is gone. Aaron was there. Aaron was right by Moses' side. Aaron spoke for Moses. Aaron knows. Go to Aaron. Get up, Aaron. Get up. Make us gods to go before us. They're terrified. Aaron facing this mob. Look at what he does. Bring me your gold rings. The rings in your ears. The rings that the Egyptians had given them. The rings that were used as good luck charms. The rings that were the talismans. They were the amulets. They were the things that gave the Egyptians power. They gave them, the Egyptians, power over the spiritual world, over the evil that was out there to cause them harm. And so Aaron takes this and he forms it into a bull, a symbol of even greater power. The people gladly do this. Yes, take this power and combine it and mold it and shape it into a figure that we can look to that will give us confidence, into a figure that we can look to that will give us a sense of power, that will give us a sense of God's presence, that will tell us that we don't need to be afraid. And Aaron does this. And when they look at it, they say, yes, this is your God, Israel. This is a symbol of your God. This is who it is that will give us protection. This is who it is that will take away our fear. This is where we can look to for power. And we want to make sure that this God gives us power. We want to make sure that this God does not harm us, but this God protects us. And so we need to have the correct religious observance. We need to have a feast. And we need to do this in a way that we've seen the Egyptians, that we've seen other civilizations, other cultures do, because we are weak, we are slaves, we are very powerless people. And so we copy what they've done. We bring burnt offerings. We bring peace offerings. Because the peace offering makes peace with these spiritual forces. It makes peace with these forces so that they will protect us, so that they will be on our side, so that we do not have to fear. And we will celebrate them, and we will worship them. We will worship them through gluttony and a drunken orgy. And we will do it before them to show our praise of them. And so when we look at the story this way, what we can ask ourselves is, today, do we have times where we're afraid? Today, do we have times where we feel helpless? Today, do we have times where we want power? I can certainly think of examples in my life. I go back to me sitting there staring at the mechanic as he's lifting up the hood. I certainly felt helpless. I was afraid of what he was going to do to my car. I had no power at all. And I can honestly say that if someone had come up to me and they had given me a good luck charm and they had told me the words that I could say and I could wave them at that mechanic to make sure that he would not hurt me, that he would not hurt my car, that he would protect me, he wouldn't charge me too much money, I would have done it in a heartbeat. You got any more of these? How many more can I wave? Can I set them all around him? I mean, what can I do? feel helpless. You feel powerless. Our culture recognizes that this is in our culture, that this is a part of the life we live. We live in a fallen world. It's a cruel world. It's a hard world. Things don't go the way we want them to go. It can be a happy world. We get a lot of joy out of this world, but it can be rough. And as we go through this fallen world, we live in a country that we love, where we cherish our freedoms, where we serve, where veterans gladly serve to protect us. And they give their lives. And we cherish our freedoms. We love the fact that we can choose where we want to live, that we can choose who we want to marry, we can choose the kind of jobs we want to have. We love this and we cherish it. We're on our own. We're responsible. I can make my own life. I can pursue my own path. I have a chance to live my dreams, to be fulfilled. At the same time, though, having that responsibility, having that freedom, having that power to be on our own can be really rough, can be really challenging. Because to be on our own means that we are alone. To be on our own means that there's no one with us. It means that we're by ourselves. It means that I have no one to turn to. It means that I've got to do it all by myself. Our society recognizes how tough this is. We're coming up on the holiday season. During the holiday season, we're told time and time again about people who are by themselves. About people who don't have anyone to share Thanksgiving with. About people, when Christmas comes, it's a painful time. There's no gatherings, no gifts, no celebration. They're alone. And as a society, we're encouraged to reach out to these people, to serve them, to give up our time, to be with them. And we gather together, we will gather together and sing Christmas carols, Highland Manor. We will do things as we serve our God to try to help these people to get through these difficult times of living in a fallen world where we're on our own, where we're alone. Now, when our society looks at this and sees how hard it is, we don't use religious language to talk about it. We don't use words like we would use words to describe this Egyptian culture. We don't use words like fear and power and spiritual forces. We use words like anxiety. Words like worry. Rather than saying power, we say control. And we talk about people who don't have power as having lost control, not having control. And we don't talk about it in terms of a spiritual force taking control of us or controlling events. We talk about it in words where we can explain it through our own understanding. We talk about it using words of science, using words of psychology. We talk about it in terms of personalities. People who feel powerless people who feel out of control, people who are afraid, we talk about them responding with their personality. Type A. Someone who wants control, who demands to have control, who insists this is the way it has to be done. When it becomes too much for us, when we feel like they are controlling us, we look at those people and we call them control freaks. We look at those people and we say, they're micromanagers. That's the way that we talk about it today. People who don't have the power, they're trying to take the power. They're trying to take power over people who aren't doing things that they're afraid are not going to work out in the way that they want them to work out. And so they control the people. You've got to do this. But don't just do that. Do it this way. Do it the way I'm telling you. Because the way that I want it done is the right way. It's the way that's going to end up with the result that I want. And so I'm going to watch you. I'm going to make sure you're doing it exactly the way I tell you to do it. We try to take control over events. You've got to do this, and you have to do this, because if the two of you come together and do this, then it's going to be this result. Because that's the result that I want. Because that's the way I need it to be. You two have got to get together. You've got to stop fighting. Because if you keep on fighting, you're going to drive me nuts. You two have got to come together and you've got to be able to get along. I want this to be a happy time. I don't want this to be a time where I'm having to constantly worry about how you two are getting along. We're trying to control outcomes. We're trying to control events. We're doing it in our 21st century perspective, but it's the same thing as 4,000 years ago. It's the same thing as the people of Israel looking and seeing Moses gone. We don't know what has become of him. And they're trying to take control. Get up, Aaron, you've got to do this for us. Do it our way. Do it the way that we want it done. Do it the way that will end up in a result that makes us feel good, that makes us so that we're not afraid, that makes us so that we feel like we have some control back in our lives. We can kind of see it in our Christian culture too. I've been a Christian for over 35 some years. And when I look at how I've prayed over these 35 years, I can see that there have been times that I've had power and fear issues. I've had control issues. There are lots of times in my life where things were going on, where they were difficult, where I had to get involved. I had to do things with them. And I look at my prayer life and I wasn't praying at all. I trusted me. I trusted my own abilities. I'm a capable person. I've had success. I can do things well. I'll get through this. I'll just do this. I'll do that. It's going to work out. I can make this happen. There's no prayer. There's no prayer at all. There's anxiety. There's worry. There's feelings of helplessness. But I deal with it by taking control. I'll take care of this. I got it. No problem. It's on me. There are other times too when I look at prayers, I see in my prayers power and fear, but not necessarily God's power. I'm praying to God. I'm asking for God to use His power to guide things in ways that work, but there's a lot of fear in my prayers because there's a lot of things to be afraid of out there. Job situations that aren't going the way I want them to go. Money. It's tough to live paycheck to paycheck. And when things like car bills, car repairs, and that kind of stuff come up that aren't part of the budget, aren't part of what I expected, it's like, where's the money going to come from? I know how much my paycheck is worth, and I just don't know how this is going to work. God, help! Health issues. People we care about. We're in a fallen world. It's filled with disease. Our bodies break down. We have wonderful doctors. We've got wonderful medication. But it doesn't always work. And all of us are going to die. And when we die, it means someone's alone. And when we've had loved ones that die, it means that we're alone. And we pray. God, please help them. I'm not ready for them to go yet. Please help me. I have things I need to do. I can't be sick. I can't be failing. Get rid of this disease. Take this fallen world away from me. And I look at this and I go, come on, Denny, what are you doing? Give yourself a break. The Bible says we're supposed to pray. We're supposed to pray for others. We're supposed to give our cares. 1 Peter tells us, cast aside our anxieties. Cast them on God. But then I look at myself and I say, yeah, I'm good at casting my anxieties, but a lot of times I'm casting them on other people. Telling people, you don't understand how worried I am over this. You don't understand how bad my day was. You don't understand. First Peter tells us, cast your anxieties on God. And when we cast them, they're gone. That's what it means. Cast them away. Don't have a string on them. Don't throw them and then pull them back. Let's cast them away. And when I look at Philippians 4, I see Paul says, don't be anxious about anything. Pray about everything with thanksgiving. And I go, oh, man, when I was praying those things before, I wasn't thankful. When I was praying those things before, I was anxious. I was afraid. And in a way, I was almost trying to take God's power away from him because I was telling God, I pray that this will happen. I'm praying for the outcome. I'm praying for the direction. Do it this way, God, because I know that if you do it this way, it'll work out right, and I want it to work out right. So God, do it this way. Come on, please, please, please. I pray. In Jesus' name, I pray. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to belittle prayer in any way, shape, or form. I'm just looking at myself, and I'm looking at the motives, and I'm looking at the emotions behind my prayers. And I'm seeing things in there that maybe I'm a lot more like these ancient people of Israel who were worshiping before this golden calf than I would have thought. Maybe I've got a lot more in common with them than I really understood. And I look at Jesus, and I look at how Jesus told us to pray. How Jesus said, Our Father. This is how we should pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. This is a prayer of power. This is a prayer of faith. This is a prayer in which we are acknowledging that God is God. He is our Father. He is in heaven. He rules over a kingdom. Thy will be done, not mine, not my control. Your will. Just like up there, in your kingdom, in heaven, down here. There's no fear in that. There's no fear in that prayer. That's a prayer of faith. It's a prayer of trusting God, that He is God, that He will be God, regardless of what happens to me. He is God, and that's where my faith is. Give us this day our daily bread. Just one day. I've got a cupboard that is bare. Bare. There's probably only 4 or 5 days worth of food in there. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Forgive us our trespasses. I certainly know how I'm sinful. I certainly know how I fall short. I live in a culture that tells me when I'm disobedient. I live in a culture that tells me when I'm guilty. I know right and wrong. This is just inherent to my way of thinking. I absolutely know when I need to be forgiven. And I know what God has done on the cross, and I know that I will be forgiven, but it doesn't say, forgive us our trespasses and stop there. It says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those. Forgive me in the same way that I forgive other people. Well, that's a problem. I mean, I'm holding grudges. I remember what they did to me. It's like, fool me once, yeah, but fool me twice? No chance. It's like, you think you're going to get away with this? I know what you're about. I still remember. Forgive me the way I forgive others. I'm praying to God. God, look at me and say, hey, dude, I know what you did last week. Don't be coming up to me saying, forgive me anymore. I remember. It's like, no, God, that's not what I'm saying. He's saying, well, then do what I'm saying. Forgive. Let it go. It doesn't matter that you were harmed. It doesn't matter that you're facing the threat of harm. It doesn't matter that you don't have the power. It doesn't matter that you're afraid and you're trying to protect yourself so it never happens again. It's a prayer of discipline. It's a prayer of, I'm God, and I'm going to make you into the person that I created you to be. And that person is a person who's loving. It's a person who's kind. It's a person who's patient. It's a person who's forgiving. It's a person who exhibits all of the fruits of my Holy Spirit. And as we see that this is a prayer of faith and discipline, and as we look back and remember what Pastor Rick taught us about faith, and what Travis last week taught us about discipline, what we can see in this story about the golden calf is it is a story of faith and discipline. The people of Israel lacked faith. They were afraid. They did not trust. They needed faith. The people of Israel were still falling into their cultural patterns. the ways that their culture was directing them to respond to their fear. Make us an idol, a graven image. Make us a strong young bull that we can trust. We will engage in these religious observances and practices that we have seen others around us do. And God is saying, no, that's not what my people do. That is not the way my people behave. My people do not behave as the culture tells them to behave, as the momentum of the culture directs them to behave. My people do not have graven images. My people do not bow and worship graven images. My people worship me. My people trust me. My people have faith in me, and they have faith in my power as God. And that's the message that we see in this, the message that's there for us today. And so as we think about this, and before we close in prayer, I'm going to have Tom come up and he's just going to play a song. And we could sit here and we could just bask in God's power. Bask in the fact that He is God. Bask in the fact that He's taken away our sin and that we have no reason to fear. Just luxuriate in the fact that His Spirit is here right with us, right now. Let's give Him our anxieties. Let's cast them away. Let's not be anxious, but let's come to God in prayer with thanksgiving. Let's come to God rejoicing. Let's come to God thinking of everything that is good, of everything that is lovely, of everything that is excellent. Let's have that on our minds, as Paul told us in Philippians chapter 4, as he was sitting in prison with his life being threatened, cold, dingy, and with no hope of human salvation. He could trust God and have joy and encourage others to rejoice and to not be anxious.